Hi everyone, and welcome to another YouTube video from Routemaster for Hire. Now, after weeks and weeks of hard work, we're not quite ready to put that Wrexham back on the walls just yet, although I must say we are getting very, very close. We've still got one or two pretty big jobs that need to be done first, and one of those is a job that I've been putting off for many, many weeks. Right, before we get into today's video, let's first of all give you some good news, and that news is we've finished the job of replacing all those window rubbers. In the last video, we've done the lower deck. Well, since then, we've managed to do every single window on this bus. The upper deck is also now done, and that means all these rubbers around the windows are brand new, and that's going to keep the inside of the bus dry for many, many years to come. So, what is the big job that I've been delaying for weeks and weeks and weeks? Well, it's replacing this wood to the front destination blind box. It's absolutely rotten. It's falling apart at the bottom, it's just crumbling away. It's come off from its hinge, so it's got to go. But this is a complicated job because inside here are the three destination blinds for the front of the bus. Each blind has its own mechanism and its own winder, and each blind also is illuminated at night, so there's bulbs and wiring and electrics to be removed. And of course the challenge is all of this has got to come off this rotten piece of wood, and we've got to put it on a new piece of wood in exactly the same position. Otherwise, when we put it back together again, the blinds aren't going to match up with the front of the bus. So that's the challenge. I've never done this before, so we're going to crack on with that today, and let's see how we get on. As you can see, the replacement cover has arrived, and to give it some protection, we're going to undercoat it and prime it. Hopefully it will last a bit longer than the last one. Well, it's going to need a couple of coats on each side, but while this first coat is drying, let's go back on the bus and strip out the old blind box. Well, the old blind box has come off the bus a lot easier than we thought. The only problem I had was with a tiny little split pin. I think that had been on the bus there in position for about 40 years, so no wonder it put up a little bit of a fight. It was corroded to hell. Now, what we're going to do now is, now we've got the old blind box off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly dismantle all the blind box mechanism and all the cabling as well for the bulbs, and then when all that is off, that's all going to get cleaned up of course, when that is off I'm going to use the old piece of wood as a template. I'm going to put that over the new piece of wood and drill the holes right through the old piece of wood into this. So hopefully then when it all goes back on to here, everything should line up perfectly. That's the plan. What could possibly go wrong? Look at the tiny little screws. Can you see that?
Tiny, they're really small.
They're really tiny. They hold that frame onto the old board. Look at that, tiny little things. Ooh.
And here's his cup of tea.
Look at that. Tim's made a cup of tea. That don't happen often. Where's yours?
Over here. You're not using the table, are you, Dave?
Tim makes a lovely cup of tea. Tim also likes using the grinder, and that's just as well, because we had to grind off some of the bolts securing the bulb holders and the brackets, as they were just too corroded to get them off with a screwdriver. Well, we were very privileged yesterday with Tim making that cup of tea at the end of the day. Trust me, round here, that doesn't happen very often at all. Right, here we are then, day 2 of our blind box rebuild, and we're starting this morning by cleaning up the brackets that we took off that rotten old piece of wood yesterday. And to clean them up, we're going to use our trusty sandblaster. Now, these things are very, very noisy, so you need a bit of protection. Well, just turn it off. The job is done. And they look a lot better now than what they did when they went in. Well, they've been in the sandblaster and they've come up really nice, so I'm really pleased. So now we're going to give them a bit of an etch prime to preserve them for many, many more years to come. And one thing I have noticed, since we stripped them back, they've actually got a unique Routemaster part number. So something as nondescript as a bracket from a blind box had a unique Routemaster part number. If only Alderman was still around, so I could phone up and say, can I have a part number, blah, 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 and can you get it in the post to me for tomorrow? If only I could still do that now. Wouldn't life be so much easier if we could? Now, another quick job I want to do before the blind box goes back together again is to clean the winder mechanism. And for that, we're going to use good old brake and clutch cleaner. We go through gallons of this, don't know what we do without it. This stuff is so good at removing years and years and years of grease build-up. It's day 3 of the blind box rebuild and we're almost ready to start putting things back together again. As you can see, the brand new board, that's been gloss painted in white and all the holes have been pre-drilled as well using the old board as a template. The metalwork, that's all been cleaned up and all the gears on the blind box mechanism, they've all been cleaned and greased as well. On the bus itself, the blind box has been cleaned out and repainted too. So the big question is, will this jigsaw go back together in exactly the same way as what it was when we took it off the bus? Let's make a start, let's find out. Right, to help me get this right, to make sure all these brackets go in the right place, I've got the old board as a template still. I can still see where the old brackets used to be. And I also took a whole load of photos of the old board before we took it to bits on my phone. So if you see me using my phone quite a lot today, it's just me looking at photos. Right, that's all the brackets in place. I've not tightened them up yet, but I'm not going to do that until I know that they are definitely all in the right place. Next up, the wiring loom. Right, that's the last of the bolts done up, and it's starting to come together quite nicely now. It's starting to look like a blind box again, isn't it? And there it is, the job is almost done. The inside is complete. I've just got to put the locking mechanism back on, and then we're going to flip it around and sort out the outside of the blind box, because all this on the underside now needs Rexaming. Right, now we've flipped 180 degrees. This is the surface that's going to be facing the inside of the bus. So it's going to be covered with Rexine. It needs a bit of work before that though. The holes that we made for the retaining bolts, they need filling with wood filler. And the kick plate that sits down the bottom here, that needs a good clean up as well. So we've still got a few more jobs to do before this is ready to go back on the bus. Well, we've let the glue dry overnight and I must admit it seems to have set quite nice. One or two little jobs still to do on this project. We need to tidy up around the edges. The kick plate down the bottom here, that needs screwing into place, and this little plate around the keyhole, that needs securing as well. Once we've done those little jobs, this board is ready to go back on the bus. But the big question is it going to go back on the same way it came off? The answer to that question is making me very nervous, but we're going to find out if it all works very, very soon. Right, I've got a very quick job I want to get done before I put that blind box back on the bus, and that's clean up these kick plates. As you can see, they're absolutely filthy dirty, and even in places over the years there's been all sorts of paint spilt on them, so they all need tidying and cleaning up. Now you could argue that when the seats go back on this bus you won't see 99% of those kick plates, and you're right, but I know if I don't do this job now while I've got the opportunity, in the future I'm going to be getting on this bus looking through the seat frames and I'll be thinking to myself, why didn't I clean them up and make them look nice while I had the opportunity? So that's what I'm going to do today. I've got a bucket of nice hot soapy water. It's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it. Let's crack on. I'm not happy. It's not doing a good job, this. You get out of the way of the camera, you're worse than Alan. Well, that's not come up anywhere near as good as I was hoping. So I'm going to go and have a cup of tea while I think of plan B. The water's filthy in here, so it's lifted something. Right, well I had a cup of tea and I've come up with plan B. That was a couple of days ago and I've had to order some alley cleaner. So I'm going to give this a try. It says on the instructions you mix it 8 to 1 and you're not supposed to leave it on for too long or it can make the aluminium go dark. Now I've done a little test piece here. These 2 strips of aluminium came off the bulkhead at the front of the bus. Now I've cleaned one of them with the alley cleaner and I've left one as it was when it came off the bus. So I'm not sure whether you can see, but this one here in my left hand, that's the one that's had the cleaning solution on it and it's come up really well actually. So we're going to go around the rest of the bus. Time to get back on my hands and knees and see if I can do a better job second time round. I'm not sure how much of this you can see on camera, but it's coming up so much better. This stuff really works. Well, that's one side done and it's come up so much better than last time. Just going to change the water and do the other side of the bus. Right, well that's both sides of the upper deck done and I'm really pleased the way this stuff has worked. Just got the downstairs to do now, but that's going to have to wait because we've got a trip to London coming up. That's a trip to London on one of these buses. So why are we taking a bus to London? Well, this time every year we attend the 159 anniversary run. It's a running day organised by the Routemaster Association to commemorate the date when the last Routemaster bus ran in regular passenger service in London. A 500-mile round trip from North Wales to London in December, in winter, and we chose to take the open topper. We must be mad. Bus crews always meet at the AEC Cafe before heading into central London to start the run. And this year we were paired with RM 2097 and London Country liveried RML 2440. The 159 route runs between Marble Arch and Thornton Heath in South London. Now usually the route takes us down Oxford Street and then onto Regent Street, but unfortunately today Regent Street was closed to all traffic, which is why we've diverted down Park Lane. At Piccadilly Circus we pick up the original route which takes us past some of London's most famous landmarks, including Trafalgar Square, then onto Whitehall past Downing Street and the Cenotaph. Next we pass Big Ben and the Houses of Parliament. Then over Westminster Bridge, passing the London Eye and onto the A23 south of the river all the way down to Thornton Heath. But the main reason we took the open topper all the way to London was for the ride after dark to see the Christmas lights. I know I'm biased, but I have to say I think London is the most beautiful city in the world at Christmas. Really enjoyed watching the stunning Christmas lights from the upper deck of the open topper, and really enjoyed catching up with old friends and other bus owners on the 159 run as well. Now, as you can see, we're back here in North Wales, we're back on our M1214, but also winding down now for Christmas in the new year. But the good news is virtually all of the prep is now done. So in the next video, we will be putting the bus back together again, starting with refitting that Wrexham. Now, in case you're wondering why I haven't fitted the blind box, that's because I want to do some work on the bulkhead first. This is the last bit of prep that needs doing before we re-Wrexham the bus. So in the next video, we will re-Wrexham and we will be putting this bus back together again. That's going to have to wait until January. So that's just about it for this year from us, and that's just about it from this video as well. From me and the rest of the team, I hope you have a wonderful Christmas and a happy new year. Now, as a bit of a bonus before we do say goodbye, I've got some outtakes to show you just to prove that making these videos doesn't always run as smoothly as it possibly could. Enjoy the outtakes, enjoy Christmas, and we'll see you in the new year. Oh, and just a word of warning, there is some bad language coming up in the next section of this video, so if you are easily offended, please switch off now. There we are, one rotten destination blind box. Mind you don't trip, Tim. Well, the blind box came off the bus easier than I thought. The biggest problem we had was with a tiny, tiny little split pin. Probably been on the bus since the day it was born. Since the day it was born?
This man is destroying our heritage. Look at this. Look at this.
Ruined. Reason. Well, we were privileged yesterday with Tim making that tea at the end of the day. And trust me, round here, that doesn't happen often. Well, here we are this morning. We got another day ahead of us of getting that blind box ready to go back on the bus. And today, the first job is to clean up the plates that we took off yesterday. To clean them up, we're going to stick them in the old sandblaster. The only thing is... Well, we were privileged yesterday with Tim making the tea. Trust me, round here, that doesn't happen very often at all. Right, we're back here then on the second day of our blind box rebuild, and today we're starting this morning by cleaning up the brackets that we took off that rotten piece of wood yesterday. And to clean them up, we're going to get them in the sandblaster. Now, this machine is very noisy, so we need to take precautions. Only if I could find the fucking headphones. Where are they gone? Where the fuck are they gone? I had them just a minute ago. Here they are. You need to put them inside the machine before you turn it on. What a dick. Well, they've all had a clean off now in the sandblaster, and they've come up really well. And one thing I've noticed is that even these nondescript brackets out of a blind boss. A blind boss? What's a fucking blind boss? Well, they've all had a good clean up now in the sandblaster, and they've come up really nice. Now, one thing I have noticed is that even these nondescript brackets out of a blind boss, fucking hell, I've done it again. Look at him, he's in the way of the fucking camera again. You just like getting your arse on camera, don't you?
Sorry, viewers.
Well, that's not come up anywhere near as good as I was hoping. In fact, it's shit.